here in the United States and abroad. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope you got to spend some quality time with friends and family and make some cash at the same time. Now, the topic of insurance, this is a big one, and I get a lot of questions on it. And to be quite honest, I'm not an insurance agent, nor am I a legal attorney or a lawyer that can give you any specific advice. This pretty much comes from a third-party blog, a rideshare blog, and was passed on to me. And I'd like to read you this passage, because when I see things like this, that do rideshare drivers have enough insurance, and they say that a nationwide survey shows that 77% of rideshare drivers may lack adequate insurance. That's fairly alarming, right? And should something happen, God forbid, I hope it never happens, to all the people entering the house, I can see you. I will get to you just now. I'm not ignoring you. Good day, good day, good day. But I'm going to read this passage to you first. And like I say, this can change anytime. This doesn't come from me, so I will not be held responsible for it. But when it comes to the auto insurance for rideshare driving, the most important thing for you, the rideshare driver, that you need to know is that personal insurance policies do not cover you or your vehicle if you use the vehicle for any kind of commercial purposes whatsoever. So, you know, in my fleet, when I drive my commercial vehicles, when I drive private clients, in my SUVs or Lux cars, is my personal insurance adequate? No. That's why I went out and got an umbrella insurance from a New York agent that covers all the cars, right? An umbrella insurance, which is a commercial insurance, and it's expensive, right? So if you're going into that arena of privates, limo drivers, Uber Black, Uber SUV, Uber Lux, Lyft, SUV, etc., you will need your commercial insurance, right? So many of the insurance companies actually offer a rideshare package like State Farm. However, it's a whole lot more than your regular insurance, right? So many drivers out there, they just start on their personal insurance and they believe they are covered to a certain degree. We'll discuss that. We'll also show you how you are covered by Uber and Lyft, which is very, very interesting. So driving for Uber and Lyft counts as a commercial purpose. So while it is required that you have personal auto insurance in order to drive for Uber and Lyft, that insurance will not cover any claims that may arise while you're driving for Uber and Lyft. So what Uber and Lyft insurance covers, right? Uber and Lyft both provide an insurance policy that does cover you while you are driving for them. However, it doesn't cover everything, folks. To be fully covered, you're going to need more. There are 3 phases Uber covers for drivers. Lyft's insurance is also very, very similar. In phase 1, in the sign-in phase, as you are signing in, this is the period when you have logged into the app to let Uber know you're available for trip requests, but you have not received a trip request yet. You know that status, right? You as a driver are covered for liability claims in varying amounts depending on your state. But whatever the amount is for you, it's the minimum amount allowed by law. Typically for injuries, it's about $50,000 in bodily injury per person and up to a maximum of $100,000 in bodily injury per accident. There is $25,000 in coverage for property damage done to others, property not yours per accident, right? Phase 2, the acceptance, and phase 3, transporting of a passenger. At this moment, phase 2, we've accepted the trip, and phase 3 now, you are transporting one passenger or multiple passengers. This coverage kicks in from the moment you accept a trip request from a passenger, and it concludes when you drop off the passenger and tap the app to signal to Uber that the trip is complete, it's over, I have delivered the person to that address, right? These 2 phases are covered for higher amounts. Generally, in this phase, you have a $1 million in liability coverage and at least $250,000 for injuries caused by uninsured or underinsured drivers. As long as you have physical damage coverage, also known as comprehensive insurance, your property, namely your vehicle, will be covered by Uber. Very important. As long as you have physical damage coverage, also known as comprehensive insurance, we know that one, your property, namely your vehicle, will be covered by Uber if an accident occurs while you're on the way to pick up a passenger or while you have them in your car. This comprehensive vehicle insurance comes with a $1,000 deductible. Don't forget that. They will always take that $1,000 deductible. So, am I covered through my own insurance? There are a few things to note here. First, in phase one, Uber's insurance only protects you from the financial liability you would incur if you're involved in an accident and you injure someone or you do damage to someone else's property. The phase one insurance does not protect you for any injuries or damages to your own property that you may sustain. You will need your own insurance for that. The second thing to note is that in phases 2 and 3, your property is only covered if you have comprehensive insurance from your own personal insurance company. If you don't have comprehensive insurance, then Uber's insurance will not cover any damage to your property. This is a little tricky because a lot of people don't realize that there are two separate parts to auto insurance. There is liability insurance, which covers any damage you may do to others. And then there is comprehensive insurance that covers any damage others may do to your property, like your car. Now, if you have an expensive car, like a Cadillac or a Mercedes, that's a lot of money. And keep in mind that just because you have auto insurance, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have comprehensive insurance. Everyone is required by state law to have liability insurance, but most people are not required by law to have comprehensive coverage. The reason why so many people reject comprehensive coverage, obviously, that is the cost. As that agent goes through those costs and says, well, would you like the comprehensive insurance? It'll cost this much. You're like, no. So you don't pass on that one, folks. You pay that extra money. If you purchase the absolute cheapest insurance your insurance company would allow you to buy, there is a chance you may not have a comprehensive, and you should check that out before engaging in rideshare driving, please. And this is where this figure comes in, that nationwide survey found that 77% of rideshare drivers may lack adequate insurance, right? So please, please, please make sure, go back, check your policy for yourself, for others, that you have the comprehensive insurance. What kind of coverage do I need to drive for Uber and Lyft? What kind of coverage do I need to drive for Uber and Lyft? There is one last thing you should be aware of, and that is probably the most important. If you have an accident while driving for Uber or Lyft, you will be required by Uber and Lyft to report it first to your own insurance company. It is expected that your insurance company will deny the claim since you were doing rideshare driving. But Uber and Lyft must have this denial before they will proceed with their coverage. Okay, so those steps are important, that you report it with your insurance first. If they deny it, right, because you were doing rideshare, then Uber and Lyft kicks in. In other words, they will not accept your claim until your insurer first denies it. This is something that has gotten many a rideshare driver into big trouble, because under a standard auto insurance policy, you will not be covered if you're using your vehicle for a commercial activity, such as driving passengers for hire. Therefore, if you submit a claim to them, they will not only deny your claim, but they will cancel your insurance policy at the same time. Since you definitely don't want that to happen, you will have to look into getting a rideshare endorsement on your policy. Very important, right? Try to get that endorsement on your policy. This is extra insurance that will cost you more. It's quite a lot more, folks, but it will allow your insurance company to cover you when you're doing rideshare driving. However, this is where you may run into a problem. because not all auto insurers offer rideshare endorsements at this time. That is true. Many more do than did a few years ago, but you may have to switch to get a different insurer to get that. So I have seen many people switch the insurance to get that endorsement, right? The good news is more insurers are offering it all the time as rideshare driving becomes more mainstream. They have to. It's an adapt or die situation. The bad news is about 40% of rideshare drivers today are paying a minimum of $100 per month for it on top of their regular insurance premium. And I want to hear from you guys just now what you are paying and who you recommend. But shop around, folks, because some drivers are paying as little as $20 to $30 in addition to their regular insurance for the rideshare endorsement, okay, compared to that $100. It's a big difference, $80 savings right there per month, right? 80, and then you multiply that by the 12, it's a lot of money, right? I would say it's about $960 in savings, correct? The last thing to note is that liability insurance only protects you from being held financially responsible for paying for injuries to other people or for damage to their property. Liability insurance does not protect you financially for any injuries you may sustain, nor does it cover any damage done to your property, such as your car. So when you're in a phase one waiting for a ride request, the only way you and your car can be covered is by having a rideshare endorsement from your personal insurance company. Please listen to that. To be fully covered and protected while doing rideshare driving, you will need to have both liability and comprehensive insurance from your own personal insurance company and notify them that you need. Thomas is in the house trying to get me distracted from my thing here. 3 and 199. Love you, brother. I'll see you in San Diego fairly soon. We got to still do that video with the Escobar guy, right? So not ignoring you, but back to the topic and then back to you guys, right? You will also need a rideshare endorsement so your insurance company won't cancel you in the event of an accident while you're logged into a rideshare app, right? You will also need a rideshare endorsement so your insurance company won't cancel you in the event of an accident while you're logged into a rideshare app. If you have all of that, then you should have no trouble at all getting your bills paid in case you're ever involved in an accident. And folks, the reason I'm bringing out this video is because I get asked again and again and again about this insurance issue. It's a big one. God forbid it happens to anyone. I pray it doesn't. But when I read that a nationwide survey found that 77% of rideshare drivers may lack adequate insurance, I got to say to myself, why are they lacking adequate insurance? What type of insurance are they actually lacking, right? And very often it boils down to this comprehensive insurance, right? So people will just go, okay, well, I want to pay as little as possible. Agents like, okay, fine, gives them the very, very minimum. They don't go and get that endorsement for rideshare. And then they find out afterwards, damn, I didn't have comprehensive rideshare and I did not have the endorsement. I'm in trouble, right? So avoid that. So that being said, my friends, I hope you all had an awesome weekend. I hope that Thomas made a lot of money this weekend. Share with me. Who do we have in the house? We have Love and Light, sending you a lot of love and light. We have Speed Racer in the house. We have Rideshare Monopoly in the house. We have the San Diego Rideshare Pro. If you have not subscribed to Thomas's channel yet, go over there. Go onto YouTube, type in San Diego Rideshare Pro. You will see him. He's always dressed like $1 million, right? And subscribe to his channel. And I encourage all of you. And Tim the other day sent me an email saying, hey, this is my first video. I built up the courage. I did it, Rideshare Professor. Super proud of you, Tim. And all of you, get your channel going, right? Because here's the cool thing. You're driving around, you're making money, obviously making a little less money now that rates are chopped in certain markets like Vegas. But suddenly out of the blue, because I actually created a channel, I took the 30 minutes out to create a channel, took another 30 minutes to make a video and upload it. Suddenly I got a referral in my city. That's extra bucks, ka-ching, ka-ching, on that Monday morning that gets deposited in your account. And you'll thank me for that, right? Because it's so easy. And I've had guys say, hey, I did it and I actually got a referral. So good for you. Let's roll. Tina says, hi, all. Nathaniel Davies. Yeah, we're in the house. Eric Velasco, Lancaster, California in the house. Nathaniel Davies says, do you think they'll try to cut the rates in California, or is the AB5 bill just too much for them? So my whole thing on the AB5, this is playing right now. August, September are going to be big months. You have gig workers rallying against it. You have Mobile Workers Alliance, or whatever they're called, rallying, for this bill, pressuring Uber and Lyft. You have the politicians involved. So there's a lot of negotiating taking place. What they cannot afford is for this bill to pass. If it does pass, they will raise the rates exponentially, right? So riders, be in there to expect a huge raise to your fares in California if this AB5 passes, right? What I'm hoping for is that they meet somewhere in the middle, somewhere, not that they become employee status AB5, not that the current non-functional payment structure shouldn't stand in place where you have no voice, no rights, and you're getting shitty rates. We need to come with somewhere in the middle. They got to meet us in the middle, right? So do you think they'll try to cut the rates? I mean, suicide for them if AB5 passes, but they will, I think they will, if it does pass, they will cut drivers' rates and they will increase riders' rates big time, right? So it'll go like this, whoop, so that they can fill that gap, that void, those losses, because to pay out an hourly is going to cost them dearly, right? They say that it'll cost in excess of $550 million for both companies combined in California alone if they get slapped with this AB5, right? Omar's in the house. What's up, brother? How are you? Rideshare Pro shares with us. USAA covers me for rideshare trips for an additional 50 cents per month. There we go. Take that advice. Go check them up. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing. So who had a great weekend? Who went out there and totally killed it this weekend? Like who's happy with their money? Who said, oh my gosh, since they chopped my rates, I noticed this huge difference in earning. It's dropped by X%. Or, hey, I'm doing it my way, the smart way, and I'm still making good money. My weekend, I did a few Uber and Lyft trips, not many, but I totally killed it on private trips again, right? And just love my private clients. If they're listening in, nothing but love for my private clients. Always appreciate your trips. Always appreciate having you on board. A lot of fun. A lot of fun, I tell you. Russell Ringo in the house. Have you seen the Uber debit card? Show it to us, my friends. Send me a screenshot. Tell me if you like it. And if you like it, say why. I love the Uber debit card because ... right? Always back it up with a good reason. Chris Blanks in the house saying hello. Hello back to you, Chris. Hope you're going. There's Paul Figueroa in the house reporting on $826 Thursday to Saturday night. Killed it. Killed it. That guy knows how to work him and Thomas, they know how to work their categories. Paul, I believe, is in the Excel category. Thomas, I believe, does the select, the comfort, etc., etc. So 2 different cars, but they kill it in their markets. Why? Because they figured out what works best. They figured out the best hours. They figured out the best locations. They figured out the best shifts. When I sat down with them at the Spaghetti Factory or whatever that place was called in the gas lamp district in San Diego, that is quality conversation where people are actually sharing formulas that work, right? And when you join up with me, there's Paul Figueroa. He just texted me, what does the gentleman say? Look at that, man. Not only, you know what you got to love about these guys, they don't just throw numbers out there. Bam! There it is. Well done. Give him a shout out, man. That's big money, my friend. He deserves it. He's a hard worker. He backs it up right there. Backs it up. sends me a screenshot, right? Beautiful. Ross Dunton, I like the Uber debit card. All my gas is discounted 12%. Thumbs up so far. Okay, cool. That's good feedback, Ross. Much appreciated. I love my Costco card, right? You know that that little Costco card that you get, and the different privileges that you get on the Costco, right? That one. That's the one I like because I get really, really, really good gas rates with that sucker, right? That makes me bank. But if the debit card works for you, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Then I also got to spend some quality time. My kids just came back from Smoky Mountain with their mom. They had a great time. And I was working on my new beast. There she is, right? Still working away, fitted the new bumpers, started working on the paint. That's going to be the GOAT vehicle, the GOAT Classic vehicle. Calvin Macadori. I like that name, Macadori. Sounds like macadamia nuts. Now you made me hungry, Calvin. What's up, my friend Calvin? George Schneider's in the house. The Uber card gets me 16.5% discount at ExxonMobil. That's good. That is really good. That's good. So I have not exercised my rights on the debit card. I thought, hey, I'm getting spoiled with my Costco rates. So maybe I should look into that. And thank you for sharing, gentlemen. Yeah. Oh, I know it's a sparkly blue, Tina. I'm about to eat as we speak. You enjoy it. You enjoy it. Professor, I had e-insurance. They do not charge for rideshare drivers, but I don't believe they have rideshare endorsement. I recently switched to Progressive and saved nearly $70 a month. Now I pay $171. So see, this is the feedback that we appreciate. And thank you so much, Speed Racer, for putting that out there in our house in the middle of the street. Our house, that is where ridesharers meet. Our house is a castle and a treat. And it's especially a treat with people like Speed Racer in the house that puts out real numbers. Because when you start seeing those real numbers, he says, okay, I'm saving $70 a month with Progressive. Hey, maybe I need to look into, and maybe just because of this one feed here, this one live feed, 3 or 4 people switch to Progressive, and we've put some money in people's pockets. That's what this is about. It's about sharing. It's about learning. It's about growing together. Roy Watkus in the house. Vegas, baby. Good to see you. Now, this is one of my Vegas buddies that I stopped in. Had a great time on my way up to Zion. Met Roy Watkus. Quality gentleman. Greetings to you. Any feedback from me for Vegas? I need some feedback. So Speed Racer shares with us, they don't charge anything extra for rideshare drivers. Just tell them you drive and they give you the endorsement. I would want to see that endorsement black and white. Please, would you be so kind and email me that endorsement? Don't just let it be a verbal, yes, okay, fine, you're endorsed, right? Get that in writing, folks. Please, everything, get it in black and white. Even if it's in an email from the company, it's legally binding, right? What about fare rental? I want to, D. Robert asks, what about fare rental? Anybody report back on fare? Now, are they fair? Are they unfair? I haven't driven a fare rental. I would like to do a fare video. So if there are any LA people driving with fare, I'd love to meet with you and do a live video on fare, right? Is it fair? Is it unfair? What type of coverage do they give you, right? I'm sure because Fare is Uber's partner, that they will definitely make sure that adequate insurance is there, right? Because they do not want to get their partner Uber in trouble. Remember that Uber and Fare have this alliance, right? Uber dropped its relationship with Enterprise. Uber does not do as much business with Hertz, or maybe not even at all. Lyft does. And now they have this partner program with Fare Rentals. To what degree does Fare cover you, right? So feel free to email me any documentation that you signed on Fair. I can read it out loud. I can do a live feed with some Fair rental drivers. Very, very interested in providing some solid feedback on Fair. Love and Light says, awesome speed racer. Thank you. We thank you. Much appreciated. George Medeiros in the house. Hi, everyone. I see that some friends of mine went in and bought Lyft stock. They said to me, well, it's right at the bottom now, it can only climb. Good point. Maybe it has hit rock bottom and maybe it'll start surging. We shall see. Somebody just texted me something. So what else do we have? Anybody have some good insurance stories for us? Please do share. If you have any good insurance information that you wish to share, or any suggestions, any tips, any companies where you've seen considerable savings. Speed Racer put a good company out there. How low can Uber stock fall before total collapse? I don't know. They may have hit rock bottom last week, I think at 33 something, because it bounced back to 34. I'm not sure where they sit right now. Let me just check my stock tracker. Where are they right now? Where is Uber sitting today? It'd be interesting to see where is Uber. Yep. So maybe they both hit their bottoms, right? Uber's bottom was at 33, a high 33, and now today it bounced up to 35, right? So do I expect any big... The only time you're going to see this stock rally like crazy if they tricked, right, or rigged the quarterly earnings to say, okay, in the second quarter we lost big time. This is the highest we'll ever lose, 5.2 billion. And then out they come with the third that looks much, much, much healthier, right? Much healthier. Maybe even a profit, not even a loss, right, in the third quarter, because they've cut back everywhere on rates, on minutes, on referrals. They've cut back everywhere, right? Maybe before the third quarter is announced, they will actually up the passenger rates a little bit. So they have to show impressive numbers if they want to start rallying upwards with the stock, right? So it could be that they have hit rock bottom and they're on the way up now. So Scott Tucker says, okay, what is covered if you were hit while transporting customers? Now, transporting customers, you go back in this video, I'm not going to read it again, but they would consider that as phase 2 and phase 3. Phase 2, you've accepted and picked them up. Phase 3, you're actually transporting them, right? So you've got to make sure at that moment that you have comprehensive insurance, you have your liability insurance. You are also at that time insured with both companies, right? That make sure that you get the endorsement from the insurance company and that you say that you're doing it for rideshare purposes. It's a whole different ball game if you entering the commercial arena. Limos, chauffeur driving, TCP driving, driving SUVs for Uber and Lyft, you need massive, massive commercial insurance. It's expensive, way over 300 per month, way, way higher than that. Joseph Fortenberry, after 5 years of driving for Uber, I finally decided enough is enough. I let my inspection date pass and finally gone to full retirement mode. We'll drink to that. He's got his wine, he's got his champagne, he's got his martinis, all lined up in emoji form, and he's happy. Joseph, if that makes you happy, I'm very happy for you, right? Because you should never accept working for rates that are just not working for you. That's the day you hand in your retirement like this gentleman has done. Uber girl Paula in the house. What do you have to say, Paula? Even having an endorsement with your insurance for rideshare is better than nothing. There we go. D. Robert, does workers' compensation apply to drivers? Well, you're an independent contractor, my friend, and if you're running it as a company like I am, there are ways where you will have to pay the workers' compensation if you're treating your limo company as a company and you're hiring these drivers and you have contracts between your drivers and your company, or there's another way to do it so you can save yourself those worker compensation fees, right? Because that's 20% more. I would be losing 20% of my earnings to workers' compensation if I had my contracts set up a certain way. I'm not going to go into details on that, but you have to be very, very creative as an entrepreneur or a business owner. I've been told about August the 26th, right? Lorenzo Davis, Sacramento. Give me a little bit more information. I've been being bombarded with tiny little segments of information about Sacramento on August the 26th. Lorenzo, if you could share with us what's going down on those dates. What is that, the 26th? Is that a Monday? Is that got to be a Monday, right? Because my calendar for August the 25th is filled up morning to night. San Diego Rideshare Pro says, be prepared. Business experts say we are heading for an economic recession. Know your rideshare markets. Now, let's talk about that. And Thomas brought up a big point. There are already 5 world economies, big economies, that have rung the alarm bells. Germany being one of them, right? One of the biggest automakers in the world. I know directors personally at BMW, because they're my sponsor, they're letting a lot of people go, and they are using the word recession, right? And this is BMW North America, and speaking to their directors here, their CEO, they're using the word recession. In the United States, they're using the word recession. Politicians here, however, will be in denial when it comes to that word and say, no, we're not in recession. The fact is, all the indicators, the inverted yield curve, etc., are usually the biggest indicators that we're heading into a recession. So the numbers are out. And come 2020, I predict we'll be in a recession. And we always historically get ourselves out of recession, but we've got to face facts. We can't deny the existence of recession creeping in. It's coming, right? It's not going to stay on this super high or this artificial high all the time. We are so much in debt, right, to other countries who have loaned us money, right? We have hit the highest deficit as far as what on lending, right? So we're not in, to the outside world, the politicians will always say, hey, we're in a healthy state. We're not. The other 5 economies, global economies, we're not shy to announce, hey, we're heading into a recession. I think the United States is in a denial, or at least these politicians are in a denial when it comes to recession, right? So get ready for that, right? A lot changes. You will never, ever, we're buying a property down in Long Beach, myself and a partner, and I said to him, we're never, ever going to see these interest rates again, 4.1, 4.3%. Let's lock in this property for $800,000. Let's put down a 20% deposit, $160K, right, and finance the difference of $700,000 at 4.1 or 4.2%. We will never, ever see that again. So if you're thinking of buying a house, if you're thinking of buying an apartment, if you're thinking of buying a commercial business, now's the time. Next year, things are going to change big time. So I'm with you on that, Thomas, all the way. I'm not denying the fact that recession is creeping in. Many say debt is meaningless. Why? Not necessarily. I mean, when you are in serious debt and you have taken on loans, right? They are due. There were due dates to pay back those loans, right? So on paper, you can be on serious debt, and maybe that debt only has to be paid in 2028, right? It's due in 2030. So that is where a lot of people will ignore the debt and say, well, you've taken on a lot of debt, but the fact is, reality sets in on those due dates. Can you cure those loans? Can you pay back the money? If not, you're in default of your loans, and that's when it becomes serious. So debt only becomes serious when you're in default. Here's a good one for you. If you're not making those payments on the house, right? You're living in the house. You're in a lot of debt. At some point, that house is foreclosed and will go to the auction, right? So you're trying to tell me then that debt is not serious? It's very, very serious, right? Well, debt, like Paula says, will affect your credit. If you're not making those monthly payments, your credit score will go down and down and down. To build up good credit, you get yourself a Discover card, an American Express card, a Visa card, a MasterCard, and even if you're doing tiny little transactions, I'm buying something for $30, I'm paying that $30 by the end of the month. I'm buying something at Costco on my Costco card for $150, I'm paying back that $150. So when you have 4 or 5 different cards, loans floating around that are offering you a credit, right? At that moment, you exercise that credit. You are now in debt for $50, but you repay on time. You are now building. It's the best way to build credit, is to have multiple cards doing multiple transactions, paying on the right time, right? And in comes Paula with crypto. So we went like, woo, all that way. We're talking money, we're talking dollars, we're talking debt, we're talking a whole bunch of interesting topics here. And then voila, in comes Paula with crypto. National debt is not meaningless, my friends. If you owe $30 trillion, you better figure out a fucking way how to pay that. D. Robert, Warren Buffett says national debt meaningless. Back it up. Put the link in here. Put the link in. Rolf Stark says tariffs or war. I mean, playing the game of tariffs is a war game, right? It's a financial war game, right? Could it lead to real war? Possibly. But I think if you're playing tariffs, you're just trying to show who has bigger balls, right? But you're not going to play that game with the Chinese. They'll laugh at you if you're going to try and play the tariff game, because we owe so much money to China. When they start exercising some of their rights and say, hey, pay up, right? You can always renegotiate loan for another debt for another 10, 20 years. But when they say pay up, you got to pay up. Scott Tucker says, Roy, just be patient. Prices will fall and will fall again in Vegas. I mean, how low can it go, right? How low can it go? I got a screenshot on Friday. I thought this was alarming. Guy did 25 miles. I think it was 0.24, 24 cents per the mile, plus X for the time, X for the pickup fee, blah, blah, blah. What did he have in his pocket after doing roughly 25 miles, spending 27 minutes in the car? 27 minutes in the car, $11. In my life, when I see that on my screen and Lyft is paying me $11 for sitting in the car for 27 minutes doing a 25-mile trip, This was from the outside inbound to Vegas. That's it. That's the day I handed my divorce papers with Lyft, and I'll concentrate on Uber, right? Have to follow the money. Got to say to yourself, hey, my threshold is here. I will not go below it. If they go below it, I hand in the divorce papers. Got to walk away, right? So you'll probably see a big migration pattern of these drivers over to here in Vegas. Lorenzo Davis, United Rideshare is headed to Sacramento for the AB5 bill for 3 days to get $30 an hour, just like El Monte. Okay, so El Monte, that's just symbolic. Okay, El Monte may say, okay, well, here in El Monte, we have to pay the drivers $30. You know, what that's symbolic, right? They cannot exercise it, that they cannot implement it, right? And I mean, you're driving, you started your day in Ventura, and for some reason you're down in LA and you're suddenly in El Monte. You're not going to get $30, right? So that whole gathering there, I'm glad for them, whoever did it, mobile workers, right? It's just a signal, right? This is what they want. It's not set in stone. It's a symbolic number, right, that El Monte has put out there. Maybe some politicians in El Monte, some decision makers in the city structure met with one of these rideshare alliance groups. I think it was mobile workers, and they said, you know what? This is what they need to get paid, $30, and here's the reason why. It is not set in stone. So, yeah, you can go up to Sacramento, but you will never in your life, let's be realistic here, folks, you will never in your life force $30 through on a Sacramento level. This is a symbolic saying, hey, we did it in El Monte and we're coming for you, Sacramento, right? And they get it into the media, they play the media, and it puts more, it's a good thing. It puts a lot of pressure on those politicians. It puts a lot of pressure on the companies, but it's not set in stone. It's a movement, right? You have some people in a city council or whoever they are, the mayor says, yep, rideshare drivers, you know, my kid's a rideshare driver, that's it, $30 minimum. Big press, blah, 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 big meeting. You have Paula there. You have all those people reporting on it. Dustin even made a video on it. One of the reasons I would not make the video on $30 because it was just a super pie in the sky high figure that they were trying to attain, right? Let's shoot for the stars. So I thought that was fairly unrealistic, right? So that's the one reason I did not make a video about that, right? But what I do like about it, it's the start of a movement, right? Let's shoot for the stars here. Let's see what we can get. But mark my words, this is not going to end up in the employee status where they're getting $22, $25 per hour. It's not going to happen, right? They're going to rewrite the law. They're going to implement new gig laws, right, for rideshare drivers. This is my take. This is the way I see it. Why? Because they can't just make these decisions on their own. Politicians would lose their positions in the next elections if they fought the public, if they fought 300,000 drivers on this, right? If the politicians sold out the drivers, they lose the vote, right? And they can't just ignore 300,000 votes. So they're going to be very careful. They're going to dance around the topic and try to please the public who votes for them and try to please the companies because they want to see tax dollars for the city, right? Scott Tucker says, I just did those Lyft rides just so Rideshare Professor could see the rates, share with everyone, could see possible rates from Lyft. I sent him the screenshot. From what number was that again, Tucker? Which number did you send it from? Well, oh, that was the one that I reported on, right? Was that were those the Vegas numbers? Those were great. I appreciate that. Mike Lee, what is Zoom? Zoom is another hop, skip, and drive. If you want to have any information on hop, skip, and drive, I've promoted Paula as the go-to girl as far as hop, skip, and drive goes. She has codes there. She knows so much about it, right? So any questions you have, I think you should direct directly to her. I am not your hop, skip, and drive expert. I am a great expert in driving children, underaged minors under my limo license, right? Because I'm protected by law. I can do that with my TCP. I can have 6 or 7 kids in the car, and I do that often. That is why I get so many trips, because I treat the kids as if they were my own kids. I do group texts with 6, 7 parents. We are here. We are going to In-N-Out. We are leaving Hollywood. And they trust me with the children, right? Because I update them, and then I arrive at that house when I say I will arrive, and send them a screenshot and say we're at In-N-Out. So showing parents where you are, and they can see, okay, I have some form of control over the trip. Why? Because Torsten is constantly updating me where the miners are, what they are doing. We trust him. You got to earn and build that trust from your clients, and they pay you a lot of money for that, right? Picking up kids from school, taking them to parties, taking them to mob mitzvahs, taking them to, you name it, events, right? So these companies like Zoom, Hop, Skip, and Drive, they all have their correct licenses for that. For example, in California, one of their biggest markets, they have their TCP license. They then have to go through vigorous interviewing processes, background checks. And then if you're a person like Paula who qualifies on all levels for Hop, Skip, and Drive, you get rewarded accordingly. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's somewhere between $20 to $30 an hour, right? You can live on that. There it is. The hustler, Paula Zoom, Paul H13. Patiently waiting for goat. That's it. Good one. You need to realize how much work there is. Testing, writing code, testing code, writing code, testing code. So, your system has to function on both ends for both the drivers and the riders. But there's not going to be any pool or silly rates and just stupidity that Uber and Lyft are doing just out of desperation to sign up a passenger. No, that's not what GOAT is about. So Adventure Girl Paula says, I had a 27-minute trip and was paid $80. That's money, right? No, the GOAT rideshares also will incorporate Hawaii, but not in Hawaii yet, right? Remember, we only started this movement about 2 months ago, right? And we hit the green light and went full in, right? Meaning you've got to start spending on technicians and programming and marketing, me meeting with investors, angel investors, meeting with insurance companies, meeting with sponsors, meeting with companies that will potentially offer rewards to. There are so many meetings and angles you have to cover before you start a rideshare company, right? But I knew what I was getting myself into. Speed Racer, do kids trash your Lincoln? I don't know who that who is that question for? Oh, it's for Paula. So no, the kids are awesome. Ben07 says, how to handle if the rider wants a 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer way from the destination they put to get off. I often get passengers that does that here in Hong Kong. Sending you support to Hong Kong with all the protesting, and hopefully stability sets in there, Ben. But please elaborate a little bit on your question. I do want to answer it for you. You said how to handle if the rider wants a 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer way from the destination they put in. Oh, I get it. So that's unacceptable. The destination is the destination. If they want a new destination that's 1 to 2 kilometers away from the destination, and by the way, 1 mile, 1 US mile is 1.6 kilometers, right? 2 miles is 3.2 kilometers, right? So you just divide the 2 kilometers by 1.6, and that would be your mile. So if that is a mile away from the destination, they will have to put in the new destination and say, you know what, not a problem. I will gladly take you there, but you have to change your destination. If you don't change your destination, right, a few things occur, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. So the final destination is given, right? There it is. And the app is expecting you to drop off the passenger in Hong Kong at that spot. And now they have requested, hey, go 2 kilometers further. The bottom line is that 2 kilometers is tracked and will be paid for. The client will be, the rider will be billed for that extra 2 miles, because it only calculates from the end point, right? When it's completed, when it's done. At that point, it's not done yet. They still wanted an extension. If they ask you, hey, stop it over here and give us 2 extra kilometers, absolute no, not going to happen. Or, hey, you want to go 2 kilometers further, not a problem, just change your destination address. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, well, we have to end the trip here, right? There's no freebies in this game, folks. So I hope that clarifies your question, Ben. And again, I'm sending you guys all the love and support in Hong Kong. I've been reading the news. I hope that stability sets in, right? And it stabilizes. You don't want anything to get fully out of control where, you know, the Chinese government is sending over their police and they're ready to battle those citizens, right? That island there in Hong Kong, remember, it went from British ownership to Chinese ownership, right? And China fairly much stayed out of Hong Kong. They didn't force their rules. They didn't bring in their military. They let Hong Kong operate as is. Now it's in a bit of a volatile situation. And I believe the Chinese government says, well, here's an opportunity. We will now march in. We will bring our people in to Hong Kong, create our own stability, and sort of take over the system. So there's a lot of heat and rivalry there at the moment in Hong Kong. You're more than welcome to shed more news on that, Ben. And I'm sure in some way or other, it also affects the rideshare, because the airports are shut down, correct, right? Multiple streets, city centers shut down in Hong Kong. I have a lot of friends who have businesses in Hong Kong and tell me and report. I take people to the airports and pick them up at LAX when they come from Hong Kong. So I want to stay dialed in. Wouldn't they end a low rating? And thanks for the answer. No, I mean, they can't, if they can't hit you with a low rating. I mean, effectively they can, but the bottom line is, if you can attribute that low rating to that trip, I would immediately open up a ticket, send Uber and say, hey, the rider was very unhappy about the fact that I would not do the extra 2 kilometers for free. I instructed the driver to change the address. I told the rider that there would be additional costs for driving an additional 2 kilometers, and hence he or she gave me a low rating. I would hope that Uber and Lyft has your back. Lyft doesn't operate in Hong Kong, but I would hope that Uber has your back in Hong Kong if you can clarify how that low rating came about. I would not start a pissing match with a rider over an additional 1 or 2 kilometers. I would just tell them as it is. This is what happens. This is what the company says. I have no control over it, right? So you don't want to look for feuds or fights with riders, because they can quickly spiral out of control, right? To a point where it gets really crazy. We've heard every type of story. So Scott Tucker says, here in Vegas, you've got to ask the customer, what is your own name? Because people here in Vegas try to steal other people's Ubers here and in the mid-ride, and you change your destination. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, it's happened to me in Venice and Santa Monica once or twice, where they literally stole somebody else's fare, and then I've made a mistake. Hey, are you Nicole? Yes, I'm Nicole. Jumps in the car, and the next 4 or 5 minutes, I have the real Nicole calling me. Hey, where are you? Well, I've got Nicole in the car. No, I'm here. And then you find out that chick is lying to you. Right there and then, honey, it's time to walk, right? I've made them walk. You got to build respect here. Masaro Ibrahim, much love back from Cali. Thank you, Texas, for sending love to GOAT. Appreciate you. You're welcome, Ben. So Paula says there is another pre-scheduled trip company called Wings. One of one of the biggest topics we will be focusing on in GOAT is pre-scheduled, right? And really matching up the right people with the right people. That meaning that if a rider has taken a few GO trips, he can nominate his or her top 5 drivers and then send that pre-scheduled trip to the number 1 preferred driver. Can you take me on Saturday 3 p.m. to the airport? Guy has 30 to 60 minutes to lock that in. Yes, I will. If not, it goes to the second preferred driver, right? So the goal is to match up people that really like each other, that really respect each other, that really trust each other, where the driver knows they're always getting the maximum amount of tips. Why? Because they're getting someone that has booked them, that likes them, that loves them, that trusts them, right? So that breeds the highest fares, right? That breeds the highest trust, the highest tips, is matching up qualified people together that want to drive together. Many a time, I don't even have to ask my private clients, hey, why do you book me? I'm not fishing for compliments. And if they're in the car, they say, hey, by the way, Rick, you should book Torsten from now on, and here is why, right? And then they are selling the reasons to their friends in the car. There might be 4 or 6 people in the car, and at that moment, there it is, classic word of mouth. I have another referral, because they are telling their friend in the car, you got to drive with Torsten, right? Or I pick up friends and they're taking other friends to a ball game or to a concert because, hey, your car is clean. Like the fact that you have Evian, water, and everything on board. And then the next thing, my existing clients will say, you got to drive with Torsten, and here's the reasons why. And the number one thing I pride myself is safety, right? Keep your clients safe, to the point that sometimes I work with security companies, sometimes that are armed. If I have high profile clients and they want to have security or top security or armed security with me on board, why? They're licensed. So I'll have people on board that are licensed to carry a firearm. Why? Because they're protecting someone. They're maybe the personal bodyguard of someone. So offering those additional services, you can ask anything, any dollar amount, right? These high caliber earners, whether it's in the music industry, the sports industry, the business industry, they pay big time, right? Because they may be a target, right? Or they'll have some crazy fan or going nuts on them. Sometimes I have dropped off. I have one particular actress, not going to name her name, but I picked her up once, and then the crowd just turned on them. They went rowdy, and you got to get out the car, and you got to help them. The security, they are not doing their job. They're not protected. You got to get in there. You got to start moving bodies, right? Move bodies out of the way, because the security might have been overwhelmed or taken by surprise, or were careful. No, you got to go in there, in that crowd, start pushing people out the way. Get your client in the car. You have no idea how that story resonated with other people and how much business I got, because balls to the wall. Guy came out, got me in the car safely, right? I did it. I did once with Paris Hilton when she came out of a store. She was ambushed by 12 or 13 reporters. They were pushing her around. They were in her face. And I'm like, get the fuck out of the way, guys. Just give the woman the space, right? And start pushing them out of the way, right? And the next time she saw me at the Starbucks at the same place, Beverly Glen up in Bel Air, she said, thank you so much. I remember you went in there and pushed these idiots out of the way. I remember that situation. I got fairly scared. I said, sorry you had to go through that. Hoping to get a date out of it, but I didn't. Anyway, what we do sometimes, sometimes it's an impulsive reaction, right? But if you're doing that for your client and you showing that you will protect them at all costs, pays dividends. Scott, you will know. I mean, you're in Vegas. They come in and out there all the time, especially if you're in the Lux or SUV category in Vegas. Those guys, they're ordering that type of car. You will always bump into those type of people, right? One of my funny stories, I'm up in Hollywood Hills at some celebrity party. I'm up there with the SUV. This was an Uber trip, by the way, and I had the Batman. What's the guy's name? Batman, good-looking guy. He's right behind me, and I recognize him in the car, getting into the car with 3 or 4 hot girls and another guy. I think there were 4 girls and 2 guys, immaculately dressed. He's right behind me. What's his name? I don't know what the guy's name, but it was an Uber trip, right? And I recognized him and like, where do I know him? So afterwards, it all made sense. But he was sitting behind me and he said, hey, if I want to drive for Uber, what do I have to do? And he's like, this guy's just pulling my chain. So I'm just going along with it, right? I'm going along with, oh, you got to do this. You got to be 21. You got to have your driver's license. You got to know criminal records. I said to the guy, hey, do you have any criminal records? He goes like, no. He's just playing me. So as he gets out, the one lady says, thank you for rolling and having some fun with us. You do know that that's Batman. And I said, Batman? I know you, Batman, and it was lovely having you guys on board. So this type of shit happens with Uber. You never know who gets in your car, and many of you guys know, right? Suddenly you're there, you're picking up, it's a little bit of a shell shock. Oh my God, I have ABC getting in the car right now. I remember that feeling when I had Channing Tatum and a couple of actors get in the car. I remember that feeling when I was driving the Grammys or the Oscars. Suddenly I had ABC in the car, like, wow, right? And then try to find a way to hustle them to become your private client, right? So that's where you have to be masterful, to transfer them from Uber to your private clients. Master at the game. Lorenzo, Christian Bale. Yeah, not Pale, but Christian Bale. That's him. Thank you, Lorenzo. Christian Bale. I said Christian, said Bates. Bale. Thank you, my friend. Very cool guy. Very funny guy. So Ross Dunton says, Speed Racer, I have a 100, 300, 100 coverage already. It all depends what state you live in. True. So these rates, these conditions, they vary from state to state. It truly pays off doing some research on this insurance issue, folks. I know that we covered all the insurance stuff right in the beginning of the video, and then we jumped into the room, and we are on the 1 hour mark. We're going to be winding it down in the next few minutes, right? But we went off and had a little bit of fun. We spoke a little bit about rideshare for kids. We spoke about commercial trips. We spoke about insurance. We spoke about celebrity clients, blah, blah, blah. So depending what car you drive, you can take this anywhere, right? You can take this absolutely anywhere. Paul McGaw, my friend failed to get rideshare insurance and had an accident. Luckily, he was not on the app. Insurance investigator showed up at the repair shop and saw the Uber sign, had to prove he was not on the app. Wow. That's a real thing that can happen, right? Right there and then you have to prove and show, hey, I was not on the app at the time the accident occurred. Hopefully there's a police report to back that up, right? Ben said, I watched your videos and learned a lot. I have a 4.8 rating. Thanks a lot for helping us drive a community. And I appreciate you, Ben, for saying that. It gives me a lot of joy, a lot of satisfaction helping drivers, answering the questions, answering the emails, answering the text messages, as long as they're not like the silliest questions. Sometimes I get questions where I say, look, I know you can answer this yourself, right? Why are you sending it to me? But generally speaking, 98% of the time I get good questions, and I do believe I provide good answers. Part of the deal that you're getting from the Rideshare Professor when you're signing up with my codes, folks, is that you have a phone number, you have an email, you have a real person who will give you the real deal, black or white, right? Not going to butter you up. I'm going to tell you as it is. If you ask me, hey, should I get this car or that car? And I say, what are you going to pay for that car? What could you get this car for? Got to make decisions that make sense. CENTS and SENSE, right? They got to make sense. Got to treat this. Every answer I provide when I sign up a referral immediately kicks into business mode. How can I help him or her make the most sense out of this? SENSE and CENTS, and the cents have to equate to dollars, and a lot of dollars, right? Otherwise, you don't drive, right? So when it comes to buying a car, when it comes to choosing the category, when it comes to choosing the shifts, full-time, part-time, how do I handle hotels? How do I handle airports? How do I handle restaurants? How do I handle sports events? How do I handle music events? How do I handle concerts? How do I get the highest ratings? How I maintain the highest ratings? How do I get the highest tips after trips? There's so much to cover here in this rideshare business before you take your first trip. And I always say, hey, that first trip, we think, oh, what a breeze, I'm going to go in. No, I had sweaty palms, my friends. I was nervous on that first trip, but I can tell you 5 trips in, it was a breeze. It was an absolute breeze. And I welcome that call from trip number 10. Hey, I've done well so far, did the first 9, but this is what happened on trip 10. What do you suggest? Okay, let's look at what happened, right? So the moment you hold a person's hand and help them through the first 20 to 50 trips, it's smooth sailing. Nothing can surprise you, right? Only thing that may surprise you down the end, never had anyone thrown up in your car, and one Saturday night it happens. Oh my gosh, this is completely new. Never been in this situation. I actually have a person throwing up in my car. We've all been there. We've all done that, right? We've all had to handle that situation. Sad thing is that Uber and Lyft are not paying out the cleaning fees they once paid out. But truly, what I'm trying to say here, long story short, is if you want to join up under my codes, Uber and Lyft, expect the very best help, service, and support and training from me. That I will tell you right here. The great help in the rental program in Atlanta. Which rental program are you in? The FAIR program? Tito Lugo's in the house. Jen Leary, NYS, yes, thanks for the coaching. 4.9 gold now. Beautiful, beautiful. They are simple things you can do to bump up from a 4.7 to a 4.9, right? Get those stories all the time. Hey, actually did that and that and that, what you suggested. You know what? I'm at a 4.9 now. Super proud of you, Jen. It's fantastic. That's good news. Ben says, the only mistake I did was I never added anyone a referral. And Ben, you can easily turn that around, right? And all you have to do is Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, you're driving in Hong Kong, right? That's what you said. Tell the people, tell the visitors, tell business people that come in, that land in Hong Kong, right? Let's say an American businessman lands in Hong Kong. One of my clients, it's a lady, she has a manufacturing company in Hong Kong. She knows how to order the Uber there. She knows how to get to the hotel. She knows how to get around, right? So many people from foreign countries will land in Hong Kong and order an Uber. Make your first video about that, right? This is what you typically do when you land in Hong Kong and you need an Uber. Make a video about that, right? Educate the drivers, educate the riders about your city, and the referrals will come. Become an ambassador for your city. If you are not an ambassador yet, if you have not signed up with Street Teams yet, do it right now, folks. Please, streetteams.com, right? It's a rideshare community where you meet people, where you can recruit new drivers, become an ambassador for your city. Do it right now. Let's see. Oh, so the great help, you with the Hertz program. Okay, good. What, if I may ask, great help, what category are you driving in Atlanta? And what is Hertz charging you for that car? And what car have they given you at what price? You could just answer those 3, right? What category are you in? What are you paying per week? What car did Hertz put you in? That'll help a lot of people, right? Real numbers, seeing and understanding a real car in a real category, right? Let's do the projections here. What are they charging per week? What are they charging per month? What is the offer that Hertz is putting on the table for you in Atlanta? And the reason why I'm asking this is because these things constantly change. The next thing, Enterprise is out, Fair is in, Hertz readjusted rates. So what is the real deal right now? There it is. Great Help says $250 for a Dodge Journey, and he drives in Lyft XL, shared and Lyft. Okay. Now, the good thing is the XL you've already put yourself in a far higher and better category than X. You can take more passengers and you will get more tips. Here's the cool thing. I like this. And thank you so, so much for this feedback. If I do 95 rides, they reimburse me to 175. Okay, question is, if you do 95 rides, are you paying 175 or are they reimbursing you 175 and you paying the difference between 250 and 175, which would be $75, right? Can I have some clarification on that? Don't quite understand the wording there. You say, if I do the 95 rides, they reimburse me to 175. They're charging you 250 a week, 1,000 a month to drive in the XL category in a Dodge. We got that. That's good. Good to know. Then he says, if he does 95 rides in that week, they reimburse him 170. Are they reimbursing you a full 175 and you're only paying $75 a week? Or if you do 95, you're only paying 175 a week, which equates to what? $700 per month instead of $1,000. Notice that $1,000 and you're not making the 95 per week, right? Or is it $700 per month and you are making the 95 consistently each month? If you could shed some light on that. They give me back 175 from the 250. Very, very good to know. So, great help. Are you able to hit those 95 trips consistently each week, which is almost 400 trips a month? Are you able to meet those targets? If you are able to meet the targets, what I understand is that they will charge you 4 times $75. It means that car now costs you $300 per month, right? Correct? And you had to do almost 400 trips. Am I accurate in saying that? Your feedback, please. Very, very, very interesting formula right there that you've shown us. If you consistently hit 95 a week in Atlanta, that obviously means you're doing it full time, right? That obviously means you're doing close on to 400 trips. What are you doing? 380 trips, right? Per month. And if so, you're paying 4 times $75. You're paying $300 for that car. That's a pretty decent deal. If you are working around the clock. There we go. It's right there. Great Help just says, yes, I'm out 12 to 14 hours. So this guy is a rock hard, solid worker. He's putting in 12 to 14 hours per day, right? Big numbers, big weekly hours. But on the bright side, he is paying, because he's getting that 175 back on the 250 per week. The car's costing him, the Dodge in the XL in a good category is costing him 75 per week, dollars times 4. Okay. So he's paying $300 for a Dodge in the XL and he's clocking 12 to 14 hours per week. Now I have all the information I need to make an assessment on the driver, on the earnings roughly, because I know the category, I know the hours he's driving, I know the savings he's getting because he's actually driving and prepared to do those 95 trips per week to hit those targets. And if I add all of that up, I am talking to a very, very dedicated and hard-working individual. Take my hat off. Zac Efron during a snow. Did you guys cuddle in the snow? I would have just stopped the car and said, Zac, let's have a conversation. All the chicks love Zac Efron. Christian Bale, yeah. He was funny, dude. He was funny. Pretending he wanted to sign up with Uber, asking me these questions because he's sitting right behind me. All right, folks, I'm coming up to 1 hour 15. I'm going to wind it down. What I needed to cover, I covered in the beginning of the video, and that is on the topic of insurance, right? Hopefully that helped a lot of individuals. I also, sometime this week, would like to make a video how to navigate LAX, upstairs and downstairs, drive you through all the terminals, tell you what's needed, tell you how to save time. So we'll be doing that, and before the end of the week, you will see me cruising through the arrivals and the departures through a lot of different terminals, inside the ring, outside the ring, curbside, not curbside. You drive around a few times and look at all the ways to save time, especially for newbies, because that, I think, is the most overwhelming thing to any driver in LA, is how do I handle LAX? Because it will happen. My friends, can I get Sandy at your service? Just entered the room. Good afternoon, you all. Big good afternoon back to Sandy. Can I get 50 thumbs up? Got to start the day, pick up the kids, get work done. This was fun. I enjoyed having everyone on board. Thank you for the great input. Thank you for the great feedback. Thank you for the great suggestions, everyone. I think it was a great productive session. I need 50. Tito Lugo, thank you, my friend. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 from Tito Lugo. Speed Racer hit me with another, oh, that's almost 20. So we're up to about 37 right now. Oh, that's Paula. Coming in strong, Paula. There we go. Russell, thank you. Let's take a picture. I need a lot of yellow thumbs up and a lot of love and a lot of hearts, because we want to set the frequency for the week. It's Monday. Let's set the tone for the week. Show the room a lot of love. Show your brothers and sisters in the room a lot of love. Adventure Paula is definitely spreading the love today. Can you outdo Paula with her positivity today? She is shining bright like a star. Tito Lugo sending love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. There we go. There we go now. There we go. There we go. There we go now. There we go. There we go. There we go now. There we go. There we go. There we go now. Boom! Hit it. That, my friends, is you. You are nothing but kind. You're nothing but love. You are appreciated. And I wish you a magnificent, safe, awesome, productive week, right? May you be protected. May you have fun. May you enjoy yourself out there and make cash at the same time. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate you. From me, from Rideshare Professor, from my Go team, nothing but love. Roy Watkins, thank you. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Speed Racer. Thank you, everyone. Have fun. Enjoy.